Our next speaker has over 28 years of experience in the field of technology, and he is at the forefront of the fastest moving technology trends like digital transformation, cloud computing, cybersecurity, AI ML, edge computing, blockchain, and 5G. Speaking about AI powered strategies for securing digital transformation. Please welcome Ezzeldin Hussein, Regional Director, Sales Engineering, SentinelOne.
السلام عليكم. أنا عز الدين حسين, Regional Director Pre-Sales for SentinelOne. Focus الشركة Cybersecurity, بس صراحة in such an event I avoid to talk about product, solution, feature. It's more into the trend and what's happening in the industry, in the market, and how can business like you get benefit of it. I'm always honored to be in Riyadh since 1998. And so impressed with the progress happening in the city from all aspects. And actually, I bought this quote in purpose because really, if you think about change, it's in our DNA as a human being. Sometimes we resist this kind of a change, but after a while, we realize, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe this is the best thing happened to me. And it doesn't need to be business related, by the way. It could be in our personal development, to think about ourselves. We need to put our energy when we face such kind of a change. How can we really leverage this? How can we put our energy not to resist the old, but to build on the new? And I remember the day, maybe you guys 10, 12 years ago, every vendor come to you, used to show this slide. There is a company called Uber, the largest taxi company in the world without a car. A company called Airbnb, the largest hotel without. It's gone. It became like the de facto standard today. Digital transformation have been proven. We don't need to speak about it. We need now to go and get the benefit of it and see how can we really leverage all of this. And I definitely will have a big part of our discussion today. And for the coming 3 to 5 years, it will be the main buzzword and how can we get benefit of it. And with all of this technology around us, we need everything now. Guess what? Thanks to smartphone, our span of attention is 8 seconds. It's even worse than the goldfish. So I will try to not spend more than 8 seconds in each slide so I can make sure you guys stay with me. And again, I don't want to thank you for 2 years of pandemic. We like it the way to work from anywhere. Before it was an option, you can use it or not. But suddenly we forced it for 2 years. We have to work remotely. I was watching Blackberry movie in the airplane yesterday, and I liked one of the quote they mentioned it in the beginning of the movie. They said, I think it was in 1968, someone said, in the future, people will like to communicate rather than to commute. And I think this is happening now. So we don't really care more about having these physical interactions. We want to make sure we have this kind of communication. What is the media? We're really not giving it the focus as it used to be before. And you heard the AI really will need data. And I'm happy I heard most of the session before me. And generating data has become like now a must. Because for those kind of modeling from AI, ML without data, it's nothing. They cannot really give you the promises of the AI system. And we are producing a lot of data. And we need to make sure this data is secured. And we need to make sure we have a privacy around all of this. But all of this comes with a price. How can we secure all of this? So statistically, and I couldn't get an accurate figure, some companies saying 1 million incidents per day. I saw some other figure saying 1 billion incident and event happening per day. Of course, not all of this really impacted us, but the majority is. So now for us as a company, for you, how can you get benefit all of this? Because this kind of digital transformation, this kind of changes around us, it can be good to create an opportunity, or at least it can give you a good competitive advantage in your market. And this is not limited to a certain industry. This is not like high-tech telecommunication as it used to be before. It's everywhere. It's in healthcare. It's in education. It's in energy. It's in financial. It's in power. Every kind of industry today got impacted. And we hear about like EdTech in the education. We hear about the FinTech in the FSI and banking. We hear about M-Health in the health. So how can we really be able to get benefit of this digital transformation and trend in our organization? And most importantly, how can we secure this with the huge changes happening and coming with the AI? So try to also get bits and pieces from the Vision 2030 and try to see how can we put in a high level. Of course, the time will not help us to put too much detail. How can we really put a strategy? You be more resilient. You have like your own plan if you, God forbid, got an attack or being one of those incidents we hear about it. So how can you protect yourself, how you can withstand and make sure you recover with a recovery plan without getting a huge impact in your business or in your reputation in the market. So you know how the game is. You keep spending a lot of money to secure an environment. However, those attacker and hacker is really doing much better and faster than all of us. And we always have this gap. We called it efficiency gap. So whatever the kind of attacks you are getting and whatever the investment you are putting, you will always have this. And what we are trying to do with you, for esteemed customer like you, how can we make it hopefully zero? You don't see this kind of gap between what you are doing in terms of cybersecurity defense and planning to what's happening in the market from attack everywhere. But to do this is not only about technology and getting the best and greatest solution in the market. It has something to do also with the people, with the processes. And this is what we really want to explain and focus more about it while we are building our risk assessment or cybersecurity resiliency plan. So if we try to look into the kind of a challenge facing you today, in a high level, we can classify it into two sections: business challenge and technical challenge. So if we look, again, we cannot go into through the whole point. For example, in the business challenge, I think you will all agree with me with the first point: shortage of talented engineers. We have, yes, people know cybersecurity, maybe till a year or 2 years ago. But now with ChatGPT, now part of the game, and we need people who really good in cybersecurity, have a certain level of competency in the AI. Now we back again to have this kind of shortage in competency. How can I compensate this? How can I make sure I have the right talent to be able to provide the required capability to my organization to be able to withstand in all this kind of dynamic changes? What about the compliance? If I'm in a healthcare organization, if I'm in a banking or an FSI, how can I achieve all of this? And most importantly, if I have a certain program in place and policy and processes since 20 years ago, is it still valid? Should I look at it and try to revamp and see how can I improve this or maybe come with something completely new? While this is really important, equally important is the technical challenge you may face. And I think if we try to put more energy or focus on one of those points, I will choose the last one. One-on-one for our people. Does it still happen? Yes, it still happens. You will have this one employee who will get an email after all those training. We tell them, don't click, make sure it's not phishing. And somehow he's busy, he got interrupted, he didn't pay attention, he will click and the disaster will happen. So how can we make sure the security one-on-one again is really part of the exercising our people, our employees are trained and using it? I think, and this is, I try to do some statistic about it, how our security team suffering. I used to work with all kind of title in a data center, from infrastructure, CIO, CTO, and I used to ask this kind of question when I meet them. How many network vendor you are using? Usually they will tell me one or two, maybe one for the data center, one for the wireless. How many storage vendor you are using? Usually they tell me 3 or 2. How many server vendor you are using? 2, 3, maximum 4. How many security vendor you are using? Anyone can guess? So the answer I'm getting from 60 to 120 security vendor any typical customer using today. And we know why. Because you have this special niche for certain actors. This is for the endpoint protection. This is for the network. This is for... So you have all those kind of different solutions which you really need to rely on it, but it ends up by having a lot of diversity in terms of the tool, overhead, on your machine or server where you are trying to protect overhead. For the operational hustle your team will get to manage all these different consoles. So how can I really make sure I'm eliminating all of this and minimizing the operational complexity, the overhead I'm putting on top of my desktops, of my devices, on top of my server, to make sure I don't really lose a lot of money just by paying for things could be eliminated if I just consolidate all in one thing. So the question became, where do we start? Now we know the problem, respective technical issues or it's a business issues. How can I start fixing this? And I, as much as it's simple, but I think this is a core slide for all of us. Usually we put a lot of attention and focus here, technology. What about people? Anyone remember Bangladesh Central Bank? It was in 2017, I think. 1 billion, almost the hacker from North Korea was so close to get a 1 billion out of the bank. Actually, they got a lot of money. The bank tried to recover as much as they can. But how does this all start? Simple email with a CV. Someone put an effort to make it so emotional. You know how desperate he is, and he needs a job, and he sent it to many people in the bank. And someone really got touched by the content, by the message, and he clicked on the link for his CV to look at it, and that's it. This simple click from this person was almost costing the bank, as a central bank, a $1 billion. And they really lost a lot, and they tried to recover. And this is emphasized how it's important for us to put more energy and to put more focus on having a people part of our triangle when it comes to cybersecurity resilience. What about processes? Attacks will happen, right? You put whatever investment you want, you will be subject for an attack. What would help you once this happens is to have the right processes in place. And again, one example, in Capital One, anyone remember Capital One incident? 100 million, I think, got leaked of customer data, costing them a lot of money, a lot of reputation, again, due to a simple misconfiguration in their firewall on the cloud infrastructure. And again, what helped them at the time is the process, the incident responsive process, they have it in place. Immediately, they were so transparent to announce this, offer free credit services to their customer to protect them and help them to recover, work with the authority to try to provide whatever info they can to track those hacker, and this has really helped them. So transparency, having such kind of processes in place to be able to have a recovery out of it is really a key. So it was a process. It wasn't the technology they are using. Actually, the technology didn't help. They had an issue already in their infrastructure, but the process did help. And then it comes technology. So definitely, yes, we need to look into the technology and how can we get benefit of it? How can we have the best in breed on endpoint protection, in network protections, in our firewall systems? This is definitely needed and it's must, but we shouldn't, while putting all our focus and attention here, ignore how equally important is the other two pillars, people and processes. This is really is a key and very important. And definitely, without spending too much in this slide, because it's self-explanatory, you can have a building block where you can start building your cyber resiliency plan. And what we really want to emphasize more is how it used to be and how it should be from now on. And you heard this in the keynote in the morning. We want to be more proactive rather than reactive. So maybe 20, 25 years ago, we used to be focusing on a prevention approach. We always say, ounce of prevention is better than a gallon of cure. Very well-known say. We used to apply it in all of our life. That's why we do insurance. But then, since the past 5 to 10 years, we start to focus more into assuming. I still need to focus on prevention, but let us assume I'm under attacks. Let us use this kind of EDR solutions and see how can it really help. So instead of just putting all my energy, building a fence around my devices, my resources to protect it, let me assume I'm under attack and have my processes to always keep testing, keep checking everything is fine without any issues within my environment. But from now on, everyone is really looking for an anticipation. So it's not prevention only. Is not assuming I'm under attack. It always will come to anticipating and what I need to do. So that's why trend and technology like XDR start become like a mainstream. So how can I anticipate with all the data I have, I could be subject for an attack? And what kind of prevention should I take to protect myself from having this kind of attack? So this is a new trend, and this is how organizations now looking for dealing with cybersecurity and building their own cybersecurity plan. Again, without going into detail of the steps, so you definitely need to have it in place. You need to start by analyzing your environment. Where is your blind spot? Where is my weak point? How can I protect? Is my identity secure? Is my end-user devices secure? So building all this step, do I have too many tools I need to consolidate to my team? So we have to keep into consideration all of this while we are building our plan. And that's why we thought, what is the best way we can re-architect our platform to be able to serve our customer, at least to minimize most of the pain point or the challenge we mentioned, either from business or technical challenge. I think consolidation, we will all agree, having consolidated platform is a key. So I'm not claiming we did it yet. So all the vendors in the market will keep telling you we provide the best security platform. You will hear the word platform a lot because it's no longer security solution or security product. It became about having a unified platform, can cover all kinds of services you have, from mobile, from applications, from devices. Application could be, by the way, running in your data center. Google is coming soon to the Saudi Arabia, so it could be in a Google Cloud. It could be in a virtual machine. It could be physical server. It could be in a container. If I'm using this kind of DevOps or I have this kind of application development or software supply chain within my environment. So how can I make sure one platform, as much as I can, one platform can protect all those services within all my application, whatever the form factor of this application, whatever the location of this application, and provide me all the needed services. Provide me the EDR services, provide me the identity protection services, provide me the threat hunting, threat intelligence, the MDR. So having all of those services part of the platform, covering all the aspects of my data center is really a key and very important to have. So stay tuned. So definitely we do it, and you will hear it from all other vendors. They are doing it, and this will be a game-changing in the cybersecurity space. So cybersecurity platform, cybersecurity mesh, cybersecurity fabric. Get ready to start. Hear this buzzword a lot in the coming few months. Again, remember, it's only one single click, one single vulnerability. You spend 24/7 from your team protecting the environment, but those guys waiting somewhere for single vulnerability, single mistake to be able in and start doing all this damage to your environment. Hopefully it was helpful. Thank you for listening, and Assalamu alaikum.